Heyo everyone, Misha B. Barkin here. Vernal Equinox is a con up in Ontario, Canada that wrapped up at the end of March. Now, I've never been to FE or Canada as a whole, and normally this is when I'd sneak in a quick joke about Canada not existing, but Canada, please take us in. We're right at the border. It wouldn't be that hard. Sorry, back to today's topic. So you may be asking, Misha, why are you talking about a con that you've never been to? Well, dear listener, FE had one major issue arise when people posted on Blue Sky that their anti-fascist stickers were being confiscated by staff, which, not a great look. Today I want to discuss further into this whole situation, and why FE might have felt the need to take these stickers whether right or wrong, and what the response to the many people complaining online about this has been. So without further ado, let's dive on in. On March 21st, a user by the name of Flip the Creature would post the following. The show never ends. We just discovered that the safety team at FE are confiscating the stickers we and other furries have been sharing on the sticker share/trade tables. And attached is a screenshot showing the stickers, which are of a few different furries with masks on with 3 down arrows on them. The symbol was originally used against the ideologies of Nazism, but recently it's been used to protest American anti-fascist movements. So, as you can imagine, the FE safety team confiscating these stickers was not super well received. It gets worse, however, as later in the thread, Flip mentions that they tried to say her cane wasn't allowed either because it had one of the stickers, which they evidently decided against because, surprise surprise, taking a cane from someone who needs it would be a disastrous look. The thread goes on to mention that con staff said they'd confiscate BLM messaging as well, but didn't give any right-wing examples. So, yeah, these are some pretty damaging and serious claims being made, but how can we know that that's legit? Well, there's a few things, such as the former head of operations also calling them out on the same thread. Why is your staff confiscating and harassing con-goers with anti-fascist messaging? This is wellness, by the way, your former head of operations. I would like to know what Nazi fur you're shielding on your staff. I would like to know why you're harassing con-goers because of this. Answers, please. I would also like to know how your staff came to these bans considering the current social climate. Do you want to shield Nazi furs? Was it your intention to bring Americans in by embracing American Nazi ideals of censorship out of fear of losing money or attendance? The issue lies in your ideas of political representation in the fandom, not understanding the fandom is the closest thing to Project Mayhem from Fight Club. We are everywhere, and politics runs through this fandom when a neighboring country is revoking human rights. That's us, by the way. They're talking about the USA. Woo! So who are you protecting by banning anti-fascist material? That's an easy fucking question. Fascists. And fascist supporters should be the ones feeling uncomfortable, not the disabled con-goer looking for a safe anti-fascist space. I want to come back to this thread later in the video because I have much more to say about it, but for now let's move on. The other way we can be pretty sure this happened is FE's response, or lack thereof. As of the writing of the script on March 25th, 2025, there has been no response given from FE on social media, and the amount of tags and such they've received from this has not been minimal, at least on Blue Sky. Now personally, if I were a convention, having people label me as on the same side of fascists would make me want to issue corrections or any sort of explanation ASAP. They seem to be taking the route of say nothing and hope it blows over, which can work and sometimes is the right choice. However, I don't really feel it's right in this regard. I want to take this next little bit and try to view other perspectives on this situation, or everyone's favorite phrase, playing devil's advocate. Now I want to clarify before I go further in this. I'm not defending FE's actions and definitely feel they're in the wrong. I do, however, feel it would benefit to try and see perhaps why they felt they should confiscate the stickers and why they chose to say nothing online. Remember, just because I talk about both sides does not mean they hold the same level of legitimacy at the end of the day. All of that said, I feel like FE's staff may have confiscated the stickers to try and keep an apolitical standpoint. It's likely that they view it as, well, if we let this type of political sticker, then we'll have to let other sides have their political stickers as well. So on paper, it's much easier just to try and lay a blanket ban of anything political as a whole. This is not a great way to go about it. In a perfect world, having an apolitical con would be a dream, to have a weekend where we could all disconnect from the political world and dive in fully and be a giant cartoon animals for a weekend, with not a care in the world. This is not the world we live in. Furry is inherently political. A lot of members of the furry community are in some minority group, be it BIPOC, trans, queer, or any mix of the groups, myself included. The lives of many of us in this community are constantly politicized and debated no matter where we go or what we do. As a gay man, it's been genuinely terrifying to watch the people in charge of my country try and take away my rights to marry on a federal level, and to watch my country start a literal freefall into fascism in the past few months. Being anti-fascist shouldn't be a political take. Being anti-fascist should be the norm. And if we want to ban anything political, for some that would include pride flags. The rights of LGBT people are constantly debated and threatened on a near daily basis, so if we're getting rid of all political imagery, then why not include pride flags in that? Right. because that would be fucking stupid. The only people you're defending by confiscating anti-fascist imagery are fascists, because they're the only people who would be bothered by seeing that sort of thing. I wish we had more info in that regard. Were people actively complaining about these stickers, or did con staff just decide, well, can't have these in our con, no sir? Because I'd love to talk to the people who had a problem with these stickers. And look, I could understand if it was like super gory or was NSFW in some way, but no, these are just angry furries wearing masks, that's it. To loop back to Wellness's post, they make a great point when they ask if they want to shield Nazi furs to appeal to American neo-Nazi ideals in fear of losing money at attendance, because that's exactly what they're doing. This whole situation is a lot like my favorite story that I'm sure some of you have heard before, but I'll go ahead and read it now. I was at a shitty crust punk bar once getting an after-work beer. One of those shitholes where the bartender clearly hates you. So the bartender and I were ignoring one another when someone sits next to me and he immediately goes, nope, get out. And the dude next to me says, hey, I'm not doing anything, I'm a paying customer. And the bartender reaches under a counter for a bat or something and says, out, now. And the dude leaves, kind of yelling. He was dressed in a punk uniform, I noticed. Anyways, I asked what that was about, and the bartender was like, you didn't see his vest, but it was all Nazi shit. Iron crosses and stuff. You get to recognize them. And I was like, oh, okay, and he continues. You have to nip it in the bud immediately. These guys come in, and it's always a nice, polite one. And you serve them because you don't want to cause a scene. And then they bring a regular, and after a while, they bring a friend. And that dude is cool too. And then they bring friends, and the friends bring friends, and they stop being cool, and now you realize, oh shit, this is a Nazi bar now. And it's too late, because they're entrenched, and if you try to kick them out, they cause a problem. So you have to shut them down. And I was like, oh damn. And he said, yeah, you will have to ignore their reasonable arguments, because their end goal is to be terrible, awful people. And then he went back to ignoring me. But I haven't forgotten that at all. This is why we need to take a much heavier stance against fascism, especially given the direction that the country I live in is currently headed. The two sides of this argument are not even. One side wants to see anyone and everyone, regardless of gender, race, or sexuality, thrive and live the fullest and happiest versions of themselves. And the other side wants those people dead. We cannot apply the blanket bans on situations like this, and we can't have spaces be apolitical, because in a community with this many people from so many minority groups, the only people you're hurting is the majority of the community, and the only people you're helping are fascists. We cannot pretend that these two sides are the same. We cannot allow that first Nazi to hang out in our bar, and we can't remove anti-fascist imagery because that sends a message to all of us that you're okay with fascism. At the very least, with something like this, I'd expect a statement from FE acknowledging the situation and providing some clarity on their decisions. It's entirely possible that they were confiscating stickers from both sides, or there was another reason they felt the need to confiscate the stickers, but until they say something, we'll never know. So, we're to the end of the video. What are your thoughts on the stickers being confiscated? Have you been to Fernal Equinox, or any Canadian cons in general? Let me know in the comments down below. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!